Welcome back to Door to Phantom Isle. We've got one more section of this world. And this level starts off with an absolute nightmare of a puzzle. As you can see, there are 5 main elements. We have this boomy, this box, we have the water switch up there, the water itself, and the vine. Primary function, of course, get the boomy over the water to that box, to that breakable block there. And of course the boomy will explode the second it touches the water, because bombs do that. So I was playing with this puzzle for an hour before finally figuring out to do this. It's a very simple, kind of elegant solution that involves all of the elements I mentioned, but I was stuck on that for a long time. It really is, I think, one of the hardest puzzles we've seen in the game to this point, at least in terms of how much time I spent on it. Now this is what I think is the main gimmick to this part of the world, is using these arrows that kind of keep an enemy in a holding pattern, really, until you're in position to use it. Nothing groundbreaking about that actual puzzle or actual phase, and certainly nothing clever done with that water switch, but it's still a training section. And as I think I mentioned last time, now we're really starting to see these elements start to come together and be used more and more in sync and in tandem. A lot of elements from past worlds are starting to come together and be used in new ways. Or maybe not new ways, but being combined with other elements. So we have a host of fundamentally quite simplistic elements in the arrows and the arrow boxes and breakable blocks and bombs that are all now starting to come together to form more and more complex puzzles. And this is another very, very hard segment. There's nothing difficult, I think, in actually figuring out what has to be done, because anytime there's 2 enemies around like this, it's a fairly safe bet, and especially when there's a bomb involved, that one enemy is going to be needed to get to the top. But even so, there's only just enough time on that bomb to actually get it into position. So you're really up against a far tighter time limit than we've really seen at any other point during the game. Very carefully examining these arrows before actually properly dropping down. And this is something that really annoys me. The fact that I can't shoot wind when I'm on the vine, which means jumping off, especially for moving that around. Jumping off the vine, shooting, and then because it doesn't go straight into the position I need it, I end up having to climb back up the vine. And really there's no reason why you can't shoot on the vine. I've not seen any area where the ability to shoot while hanging on the vine would impede gameplay or make something easier than it really should have been. So it just strikes me, especially in moments like that, where it really starts to get frustrating why it wasn't allowed. Whether it was just a programming oversight, or whether there were plans. That's obviously something I can't tell. Let's have more fun with boomies and water. And the basic solution to this puzzle is effectively the same solution to the first puzzle we saw in the video. Box goes there, boomy goes on top of it, raise the water, and the explosion gets sent up into the box. So we can grab the key. And a completely superfluous box. It is, I think, a mark of how far I've come with regards to understanding how this game works, that I didn't try to straight up throw the bommy up onto that platform. But we activate Jesus mode to grab the final star. It is always rather pleasing to my ears when... It's always pleasing to my ears when there's the ticking of a bomb is going as we exit the level. And now, more fun with auto-scrolling. Nothing particularly unique about this one. It's not... The vertical auto-scrolling from Priya Mill appears to have been just a one-time thing, which I am eternally thankful for, because I hated that stage. But really, as with all these auto-scroll levels, the real challenge is in getting the 100 gems. Which, in this run, pretty much went out the window the second I missed the first grab ball of the level. That, I think, was a good save, because that could have gone very wrong at that point. That enemy not in the slightest bit needed to get across there, but when you've already lost one life on the stage, you start to get a little paranoid. This is just a thing with the Game Boy Advance's screen, really. Every pit, especially in these auto-scroll sections, every pit is a bottomless pit. This is a section I really do actually quite like. Your first time up there, you get a look at the various goodies on offer, and it's up to you what you want to risk it for. And it's the last major challenge of the level, as we enter the cannon. Still not entirely sure what purpose the cannon serves. There were a few theories in the thread, but nothing that really struck out to me. So moving on to a really fun mechanic, playing around with spikes, or playing around spikes, or at least throwing around spikes. Various bits of business with spikes. And riding boxes. I actually like that sequence a lot. I think it's very elegant. One thing I've probably been noticing is the last two levels, at least certainly in this world, are extremely long. I had a slight flashback of horror upon seeing that setup there, because I was terrified. Oh god, this is going to be the first puzzle. This is going to be the first puzzle from 4-5, isn't it? But no, much easier. And in fact, much easier dealing with this guy as well. At least until we realised we needed the box to weigh the wind jet down. Once the jet's dealt with though, a very easy puzzle. If it can even be called a puzzle, it's more... well, I suppose if you have to figure out what needs doing, it is a puzzle. But it gets us the first star of the level at least. And more fun with spikes. Fun with actual spikes. Or at least non-moving spikes. This whole screen actually is one I'm rather fond of. Because the initial requirement is pretty easy. There's actually some almost Lemmings-esque puzzling that needs to be done here. If left to his own devices, that Moo will just keep walking onto the spikes forever. But if we toss the box onto the spikes, they'll turn around and start heading in the other direction. At which point he'll drop down here, walk in here, press down on the button, and we can hop in and grab the star. As a huge fan of Lemmings, this puzzle is extremely pleasing to me. I think I've covered enough my thoughts and feelings on these platforms. It annoys me somewhat that there's never really anything terribly interesting done with them. It's always the same routine of getting a block on the platform, and that's about it. That's pretty much all that we do with these. And even then, it's just a basic timing thing. There's no actual real puzzling involved, even with a basic set of arrows involved. I screwed up slightly there. Going back to get that box when I could have just enabled Jesus mode and walked across. And now we're going to get some serious arrow action. That there pretty much shows the main problem with this screen. And if you do screw it up, you need the box to get higher up on the screen. So if you screw up and drop down, obviously you don't have the box anymore, so that's pretty much the screen rendered impossible. We can't take the box with us, but I do like that it drops down. Another puzzle I like there. Anytime we have to get Klonoa into position to open a door, it makes me happy. And it just really gives me another reason to love the arrows as a mechanic. And the box opens the door to the exit. And we were even using arrows during the boss fight. And moves and bubbles, which is generally a good thing, if a little tough to dodge. This platform works very much the same as Nahatum's platform from the last boss section of Door to Phantom. It constantly tips from one way to the other, and you will actually slide down it if you stay stood in the same place. It's a nice detail and something you don't really expect to see from Game Boy Advance hardware. The basic idea is use the arrows to throw the moves into him, and after every hit he'll do these swoops down, which, Game Boy Advance being what it is, and hit detection being what it is, can be kind of hard to judge and hard to dodge, at least until you've spotted the pattern of where he comes in from. The difficulty of the fight comes just from the arrows. More arrows move after every successive hit, and on the third hit, an arrow gets completely taken away, so you're entirely at the mercy of the top arrow. Gee, I wonder who it could possibly be. I'll see you next time, as we enter the final world, Lil Jimba.